All right, dude. So we have the first Clásico of the 2026 calendar year, right?
Yeah.
Um, and it's crazy, dude, because like I mentioned to you earlier, that it's been already 1 year since Barca smacked Real Madrid 5-2 in the last Supercup final, right?
hmm
And time flies because it feels like it hasn't been a long time, but it's been 1 year already. But anyways, based on what we saw in the semifinals, Real Madrid against Atletico Madrid, Barca against Atletico Bilbao, wanted to ask you, who do you think comes in better form? Uh, the starting lineups, right? Who do you think Flick should start? We can talk about that as well. And then score predictions. What scoreline do you see by the end of the game? But let's go ahead and start with form. Who do you think comes in better form based on the most recent games between both of them?
So if we're going based off on just the last game, which is Barcelona facing Atletico Bilbao, and obviously Real Madrid facing Atletico de Madrid, I will go out and say that Barcelona come in at better form, right? But I also will say that Atletico de Madrid is a better team than Atletico Bilbao, right? So obviously, I don't think anybody expected for Real Madrid or Atletico Madrid to blow each other away, right? On the contrary,
Mhm.
we did expect that from Barcelona. We kind of said, hey, you know what, Barcelona shouldn't struggle, but based on their performance, they have been struggling and winning surprises. But with that being said, is no matter what, I feel like Barcelona does come into this game in the Clásico with a better momentum behind them, meaning they pretty much trashed Atletico Bilbao. And when you look at Real Madrid real quick, you look at Real Madrid against Atletico de Madrid, and they struggled. They played horrendous, bro. They played a really bad game, and it's not just Vinicius Junior not being as dangerous as he should be in the top. It was the middle. It was the defense. Real Madrid looked horrible, and let's not forget that Rudiger himself was not 100%. I think even Asensio had to leave because he was not 100% as well. And let's also not forget that Mbappe is not going to be playing for Real Madrid. Whether Real Madrid play better without Mbappe, that's up to, I guess, Real Madrid fans because they see them more than we do. But from what I saw against Atletico de Madrid, to be honest, bro, I don't really see any difference. Just to answer your question real quick and just to kind of finish off with my thought, I think that Barcelona come into a better form than Real Madrid do into this Clásico.
I agree with you. I think obviously when Barca played against Espanyol, right? They kind of did
Mhm.
struggle. They struggled a little bit against Espanyol. That was a derby. They played away. But against Atletico Bilbao in neutral ground, Barca were really dominant against them. Atletico Bilbao, like we had mentioned right in a prior video, that they themselves have been struggling this season, and it
Yeah.
showed. It showed how much they've been struggling. Barca beat them 4-0 in the league game, if I'm not mistaken. And now they beat them, 5-0. So that's like 9 goals in 2 games, which is a lot, right? But I do like the way that Barca moved in that game. I did enjoy it. I like the way they were moving the ball. I like how efficient they were. Yeah, I think Firmino missed a good chance. They missed a couple of chances, but they were attacking pretty good. So I like what I saw, against Atletico Bilbao. Um, and then we know we go to the Real Madrid one, right? And the derby, Atletico Madrid versus Real Madrid, and yeah, Real Madrid, they were struggling in that game, and I told you, I was like, you know what, I'm surprised that Atletico Madrid didn't win that game, and it's crazy because when you look at the games between Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid, I want to say in the past few years, I want to say that Atletico Madrid have been better than them, bro. But for some reason, Atletico Madrid don't always win against Real Madrid because they don't take their chances. I don't know why, but they just seem not to take their chances. But in terms of like gameplay, in terms of who's better on the pitch, I think Atletico Madrid have been better than Real Madrid for quite some time now. And yesterday was no exception. Atletico Madrid were better than them. Um, and then Real Madrid, coming in with, of course, their defensive problems, right? Um, if I'm not mistaken, I think Xavi Alonso had to take out two of his defenders. And I think he ended up playing with Fran Garcia as left back and Carreras as a center back, if I'm not mistaken. That's how he
I,
ended the game.
I think it was
So,
Mendy.
okay, there you go. Yeah. So, Real Madrid defensively, bro, they also don't look that good. And Atletico Madrid had some pretty good chances against them. Atletico Madrid, I want to say they had like about 3 or 4 good chances against them. And I think Barca are going to have the same amount of chances, if not more. So I think if Barca, if they play a good game defensively, and because in the middle, I think Barca are going to dominate. And if they take their chances, I do see Barca being capable of scoring 3 goals, 3 or 4 goals against them. But then, let's see how they play defensively, because then Real Madrid, in my opinion, I think they're gonna counterattack. So if Barca make a lot of mistakes defensively, then if Real Madrid, take advantage of the counterattacks, they can also score maybe 2 or 3 goals as well. So I know we're jumping here to the last topic, um, but I do want to say that I see a score prediction of 4-2 or 4-3 for Barca. But we'll go more into the score later on if you want. But yeah. Anyways, but what do you think about lineups though? Who do you think Flick should start in this game? Because let's not forget he didn't start Lamine Yamal against Atletico Bilbao, so he rested Lamine Yamal. And if I'm not mistaken, he also didn't start Gerard Martin as a center back. He started Eddie Garcia. So I'm curious to see who do you think and he also didn't start Rashford. So who do you think he should start? What lineup do you think he should go with against Real Madrid?
You know what, bro? Given the fact that last Clásico, right? Obviously, last year's Clásico, when Barcelona came in and they faced Real Madrid, they were kind of handicapped. Barcelona was coming in kind of handy, and so was Real Madrid, to be fair. But let's not forget that Barcelona didn't have Rafinha. So Barcelona is gonna have Rafinha this Clásico, and obviously Rafinha has been building some momentum and he's been playing pretty good. So real quick, bro, when it comes to my lineups, I'm gonna be honest with you. I will go with Lewandowski, right? Yes, Ferran scores, whatever, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I think Ferran Torres can maybe do something to Real Madrid coming in as a substitute more than I'll be confident to say doing so at a starting role. So I'm gonna go for Lewandowski starting. Lamine Yamal. I'm going full throttle, bro. I'm going Lewandowski, Lamine Yamal, Rafinha, and I'm even putting Olmo in there. I'm putting Olmo in there, and then I'm putting Pedri, De Jong, and I'm going with Kunde, obviously Kubarsi. I'm going Gerard Martin and Balde, bro. And then for substitutes, I think that you can kind of rotate and kind of play around with maybe putting Eddie Garcia there as whether if it's at the center back position, whether coming in for De Jong. You can also put Fermin coming as a substitute, and then you can also think about putting in Fermin for Olmo and there you go, and Ferran for Lewandowski. So for me, that'll be my lineup. Just kind of real quick to repeat it: it's Lewandowski, Lamine Yamal, Olmo, Rafinha, De Jong, Pedri, Kubarsi, Kunde, Gerard Martin, and Balde. That's my lineup.
I think that's actually the lineup that I will go with. The only thing is that for some reason, I don't see Flick because he loves Eddie Garcia. I don't see him benching him.
Hmm.
So I think he's gonna start him over Gerard Martin. I just have a feeling he is. But besides that, I do think he should go with the lineup. Joan Garcia, right? Kunde, Kubarsi, Gerard Martin, Balde, yep, De Jong, Pedri, Lamine Yamal, Lewandowski, and Rafinha. Because I definitely don't want to see Ferran Torres starting, bro. I don't want to see him starting.
El tiburón. Nadie puede con él.
Yeah, but I am a little surprised that he didn't put Lewandowski at all. So maybe that means that he wants to rest him to play him on Sunday. That
Yeah.
could be it as well. Because let's not forget that Barca were 4-0 by the by the first half against Atletico Bilbao. Honestly, that's the lineup that I would love to see. I do think he's gonna start Eddie Garcia though. He might even start him for De Jong in the middle. But I do think he's gonna put Eddie Garcia in because for some reason, he loves Eddie Garcia in every single game. He wants him there. So, but other than that, I agree with the lineup. I think that's the best lineup to go against Real Madrid.
Just real quick, I also wanted to add, dude, that I
Yeah,
agree with you, right? Because there's certain players that we may think he should go for, but obviously Felipe knows more than us. But I also see him maybe possibly not starting Olmo. I see him putting on Fermin. I wouldn't put Fermin, just to be honest, and nothing against Fermin, but I do believe that Fermin plays a lot better as a bench player, in my opinion. Um, but let's see what happens, right? And then the reason why, just real quick, I wanted to say and emphasize why I will go for Lewandowski or Ferran is because I feel that that's how you kill Real Madrid, bro. You need a clinical forward that can go ahead and finish off Real Madrid. Any ball that he gets, you know that it could be a 90% chance to goal. If you leave Lewandowski free in the box and Lewandowski is a killer in the box, bro, I feel like Lewandowski can go ahead and make some goals. But then again, like we said, right? There's certain players that you can see that Flick kind of loves, and for some reason, I can also see him playing Ferran Torres over Lewandowski. I wouldn't, but I think he's going to do that.
I agree with you. I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest, because he loves Ferran Torres for some reason. So I wouldn't be surprised. And then about Olmo, yes, I agree. I would like to see Olmo start because Olmo has been picking up momentum, bro. Let's not forget he played good against Espanyol. He didn't have a bad game. So yeah, I mean, I would love Olmo to start just to see where he's at. This would be a good test for him. And then have Firmino come in as a sub player because he does come in better as a sub. I agree with you.
Mm.
Um, Now with Real Madrid, I mean, who cares? Who cares where they start, to be
Who
honest?
cares,
I
brother?
because I honestly think that Real Madrid's game plan, bro, is going to be to counterattack Barca. I don't see Real Madrid. I don't see Xavi Alonso trying to take the ball away from Barca, bro. I don't see it. So I think he's going to go with a counterattack kind of approach. Hold back and counterattack, and see what happens. But they have been saying that maybe Mbappe would be able to travel, and he might
Mm.
put him on the bench and maybe have him as a sub. So. But we'll see. But who cares who they play at the end of the day? They can play their best. I think Barca right now have a full squad, which is what we care about, which is good. So wherever they play, it doesn't really matter. But anyways, let's go to score predictions. I know I had mentioned earlier that and I had told you that I see a 4-3 or 4-2 win for Barca. And the reason why I'm saying that and I'm saying that score prediction is because I'm going based on the chances that Atletico Madrid had against Real Madrid. And Atletico Madrid had about three or four good chances. I want to say about three good chances that I remember that they had against Real Madrid. And I think Barca can have the same amount of chances against them. And I think if Barca are, if not even more chances, and I think if Barca are clinical and they take their chances, I can see them scoring three or four goals against Real Madrid. And then, of course, let's see how Barca play defensively because, against Espanyol, for example, right? They were struggling defensively. Maybe not against Bilbao because Bilbao they struggle to create. But against Espanyol, they kind of did struggle a little bit. So, if Real Madrid decide to hold back and counterattack, then, maybe Real Madrid can have two or three good chances as well. And maybe they can score two of those chances. So I think a 4-2 or 4-3 win for Barca is what I kind of see happening here. But what do you think?
Um, when it comes to scoreboard predictions, bro, for the Clásico, like I've always said, it's kind of tough to call it because there's times where either Real Madrid or Barcelona come better than the other, and then the other team tends to win. Because the Clásico, bro, a football game is a football match, bro, and anything can happen. Let alone in a derby, let alone in a Clásico, anything can happen. But with that being said, given the fact that Barcelona, in my opinion, does come at a better level for Real Madrid, I will go out on a limb here, bro, and I will say that I see Barcelona winning. By how many goals? Obviously, no one knows, bro. And I can only say, I can only sit here and say, hey, you know what? They're going to win by one goal. They can win by two goals or three goals. But I'm going to keep it safe and I'm going to go with you, bro. I think that Barcelona can win by two goals. And if Real Madrid wins, which honestly will surprise me, but like I said, it's a football game. I don't see Real Madrid trashing Barcelona. It will annoy me if I see Real Madrid trash Barcelona because then I think that Barcelona are not at the level, nowhere near to be competing against the top teams this season. And that'll be, let's just be honest. I think that this right now, this Clásico, because it's a Clásico and it's because it's a Real Madrid game, I think that it's an opportunity for Barcelona to pretty much start turning their season around. Because, like I said, right, they've lost to Chelsea, they've lost to PSG, they've lost to Real Madrid. And, beating Real Madrid right now, I think it could be a turning point. So just real quick to go back to score predictions, I'm gonna play. I say Barcelona win 2-0. I hope Barcelona smashes them though, dude. I want them to smash them and get revenge from last Clásico. Because let's not forget, dude, last Clásico Vini was running his mouth a lot. You remember Rafinha had to intervene. So I would love to see Barcelona trash them and get revenge on them. Let's see what happens. And I want Gerard Maldini, aka
Gerard
Maldini,
Martin.
to crack Vini, bro. I want him to crack him.
Well, I do think Xavi Alonso is one major defeat from being sacked.
Yeah.
So, I think if Barca do, smack them around and beat them and humiliate them, I do think Xavi Alonso will be sacked. And like you said, at the end of the day, that's a Clásico, bro. So, with a Clásico, the form doesn't really matter because there's been many times where Barca come in much, worse form than Real Madrid, and then Barca may Maybe I remember a 4-3 win against Real Madrid at the Santiago Bernabeu under Gerard Martin, the hat trick for Messi. And Barca were going to the game with
You
bad
mean Gerardo
results.
Martino? Gerardo Martino, right? The coach?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, there
yeah.
you go, him. So Gerardo Martino, that's his name. So, that just comes to prove that in the Clásico, the form doesn't really matter because the players tend to step up more during the Clásico. So,
Hmm.
I don't see Barca, you know, thrashing Real Madrid, to be honest. I don't see them, but I do see them. I can see them beating them. And if Real Madrid, let's say, they win by one goal in extra time or even by penalties, I also wouldn't be surprised either because, at the end of the day, it's a Clásico, right? I would be annoyed because I feel like you said, this kind of proves that Barca maybe are not at the top of the game yet. But at the end of the day, it's a Clásico, right? So, it's not really too surprising.
Let's see what happens, bro. Because like I said, it's a Clásico. I think it's
Hmm.
Barcelona's chance to go ahead and turn their season around, and I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see it, and let's see. La manita. You want the manita?
Manita, bro, manitas. All right.